Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, what's good guys, Sackman here, aka that one guy who keeps getting 8 out of 10s on all his recent videos. Like seriously, come on dog, I thought I was cooking in that Twitter video. But jokes aside, this video will actually be pretty serious compared to the silly meme videos I usually produce. And funny enough, this video actually stems from that very Twitter video. As for messaging so many people on there, I managed to find a real deep rabbit hole of pure degeneracy and predatory behavior. I've honestly never seen a rabbit hole that deep, and it shocked me initially when I kept digging further and further, just to find more and more degeneracy. Like I said in the disclaimer, this video contains mature topics and should not be viewed for people under 13 or who are sensitive to these types of topics. So make sure to click off this video if you aren't comfortable about hearing topics like these. Anyways, let me actually start talking about what I found here, because I've been dragging this intro for long enough. Like I said before, I got into this rabbit hole first after I finished recording all the footage for the last video. I decided to scroll through some more profiles and message them after the recordings, just so that I could rack up the numbers of my thumbnail victims. But yet, I think I really don't scroll too far, because before I knew it, I already found myself in a space full of these strange ERP accounts. For those who thankfully don't know what these accounts are, they're basically accounts that pick any character, usually fictional, and proceed to make sexual roleplays with these said characters. Now, as I've come to learn, these characters that these accounts base their whole personality on are called muses, and some people I've interacted with in this space can own up to 8 whole accounts, each one of them roleplaying as their own character. When it comes to the diversity of these said characters, there's really no limits towards them. Any character ranging from any media is free use to them. And yes, including minors, unfortunately. And when they aren't using characters from certain media, they usually use OCs from artists on the same platform as their roleplayed characters sometimes. And if you're wondering what exactly all their posts consists of, well, the best way I can describe them is pure advertisement slop. Every single post that these accounts spew out only have one purpose, and that is to advertise their account and get as many roleplayers in their DMs as possible. These advertisement posts usually consist of either roleplay scenarios, starters, or continuations of other starters, or interaction bait like tier lists and these like to get a reply from me type posts. As expected, most of the roleplays happen in DMs rather than through public posts, so all these ad posts are a perfect way for these individuals to grow and get more people to satisfy their degenerate roleplay desires. It's honestly crazy to see how big these people manage to make their ecosystem of a community with their own terminology and rules, to the point where you could sometimes find them by simply searching up a character's name on Twitter and nothing else, just purely the name. These ERP accounts also commonly operate on Discord servers and other platforms like Blue Sky, where basically everything that was mentioned before applies, except now they have a much more direct way to do ERPs, especially on those Discord servers. I also noticed that this giant ecosystem of ERP accounts actually have their own little subspecies that seemingly stem from them as well. First, there are Gooner accounts, which are honestly kinda just the ERP accounts, but without the RP. Man, I wish I was joking about all this, but this is all actually real, dude. Man, how I hate Twitter. Anyways, everything about them is pretty much the same when compared to ERP accounts, including the posts, which are shifted a lot more to fully direct NSFW. Like ERP accounts, they got a similar end goal to them, but instead of attracting people to do NSFW roleplays with them, they instead attract people who are willing to supply them with the more... Yeah, these accounts operate on a giant cycle of NSFW addiction. That's some peak unemployment activities right there. There's also Fistum accounts, which are sometimes Gooner accounts and sometimes ERP accounts. The main difference that separates them is that their posts are all designed to humiliate people as much as possible, to the point of making them send money to them, to then get degraded even further. I'm gonna be real with you, if you're one of these people who are genuinely into all this, to the point where you're spending all your life savings on an account just to be called a loser and barely acknowledged, you might be generationally cooked. Like, so cooked to the point where you can never make a comeback, bro. It's honestly just sad seeing how much people there are that fuel these Fistum accounts to be degraded by them. Twitter really brings out the worst of degenerates to light, just so that some niche meme YouTuber could make fun of them in a documentary video. But anyways, all that aside, the ERP community seems to honestly be in a state of civil war right now, with them constantly shaming and exposing other ERP accounts. Now, of course, these aren't your regular ERP accounts, because even though lots of people in this space are kinda losers, they aren't that petty to be making a civil war with each other for no reason. No, instead, they're focused on another subgroup of the community, known as...
Yo Dad, the day I saw the video of your dingling, It changed my mindset of my dignity.
Yep, you heard that right, and I promise you it's exactly what it sounds like. But okay, what exactly are these taboo ERP accounts? And why do normal ERP accounts hate them so much? Well, to start, these accounts are very similar to normal ERP accounts, from the posts to the roleplay to everything else. The one major detail that separates them from other ERP accounts is their inclusion of genuinely disgusting taboo themes. More specifically, themes that include stuff like age play, rape, bestiality, and so many more revolting themes. And they not only include these themes in their roleplays and advertisements, but also in their media, constantly using genuinely disgusting art and videos as their advertisement posts. Also, a big shout out to a spy that decided to help me out with a lot of the information on this topic. He will be referred to as Mr. Top Hat for anonymity purposes. Anyways, back to these repulsive accounts. So apart from using posts to advertise themselves like others, these specific accounts also use these specific emojis in their bio to advertise the taboo aspect of their account, with each emoji representing its own theme. If you know, you know. They also usually mention that closets are welcome in their bio to even further advertise themselves to this specific audience of degenerates and creeps. For those who don't know, closets refer to people who are into all these topics and themes, but keep it hidden to themselves for obvious reasons. And these taboo ERP accounts try their hardest to garner as many of these closets as possible, so that they could keep doing their disgusting ERPs. The situation is so bad, as a matter of fact, that all these people have even managed to attract minors to this disgusting space, as Mr. Top Hat has already encountered one that even had a fake ID and all, just so that they could continue being in this space. These people try to normalize all of this behavior by stating that they don't condone any of this IRL in their bio, which is honestly a terrible excuse and really similar to the excuses that use when it comes to their art, stating that it's all fiction and not real. These people also usually tell people in their bio that if they don't like what they're seeing, then they should just simply block them instead of reporting them, which seems to be yet another terrible excuse that they try to justify their actions, that being the excuse of let people enjoy things. Again, real similar to lolicons. And again, just like normal ERP accounts, there's tons of them. Probably almost as much, if not the same amount as normal ERP accounts, which is kinda crazy. And just like ERP accounts, they also target basically any character in any media ever. Though these prolific ones seem to specifically target and use minor characters for their taboo roleplays, for pretty obvious reasons considering all the information I gave about them. And it's honestly crazy just how big this civil war between these ERP accounts has gotten. I've seen countless posts from ERP accounts spreading awareness that one of their own turned into a taboo account, telling them to report the account, which goes to show just how bad these accounts are if ERP accounts of all people are denouncing them. And also I've seen posts from taboo accounts basically laughing and mocking everyone for trying to report them. It's actually wild in that space, and it'd really be a war of degeneracy and even bigger degeneracy in there, with people constantly switching sides, betraying their own and exposing others. And I do not encourage any of you to seek out any of these taboo accounts from this video, especially if you're underage, as the content they contain is genuinely disgusting. But if you do manage to stumble across one with all the details mentioned before, then make sure to report them for their respective reason. I've seen several of these accounts that I've messaged before get banned from my DMs list, and even though my reports themselves did nothing, reports in quantity have definitely shown to work against these disgusting individuals, so make sure to report them if you find them. But anyways, what if I told you it actually gets even worse? Yes, even worse than everything that we've just discussed combined. So picture this. What would happen if you took all the ERP accounts, taboo or non-taboo, and put them all in a space with zero limits, zero rules, and zero enforcement? What if you gave them a full-on breeding ground where they could just freely spread their ERP much more efficiently than on Twitter, with the whole space being built around them and only them? Well, you don't have to picture anything, because that place already exists, unfortunately, and it's called At this point, we've reached the absolute bottom of the barrel, the deepest that this rabbit hole goes down to where I'm aware of at least. This website is so bad, as a matter of fact, that it might as well be a free reign ring for predators, to the point where police even allegedly raided and investigated this website. But alright, like always, let's begin by explaining the whole website in general. The F-List is a website dedicated to ERP, with over around 100,000 users according to Mr. Top Hat. Anyone can register an account on F-List But what makes it so depraved is just how limitless it is, to the point of protecting literal predators. On the website, when you create your account, you can set up what's known as a kink list, and it's basically where you customize your interests and kinks for other roleplayers to know what you're into. But the big problem here is that when I say that the website is truly limitless, I mean it. Even the most twisted and disgusting kinks like ageplay and zoophilia are all on there. And the thing is that many people use these very tags, openly putting tags like ageplay in their favorites or yes section of their kink list. And if that wasn't bad enough, some people are out here even setting their ages to as low as 1 year old for their roleplay profile, which I truly have no words left to describe just how bad this is. And the worst part, every single one of these people are protected under the website. After all, why would they include such prolific tags like ageplay or zoophilia if they were against this type of behavior? In the rules section of the website, it states that you may not roleplay hard kinks outside of their respective official channels or private channels that allow them, meaning that these types of roleplays have their official channels and are allowed to be practiced privately, which is genuinely sickening. And about that police raid that I mentioned earlier, basically according to the screenshot provided by Mr. Top Hat, the site had a law enforcement raid and had to be shut down, with the police taking away data from the database. The Discord message also talks about the apparent mod mismanagement and abuse. However, I think that's the least of our concerns, because if you look at the very last paragraph, then you'll find the craziest part of the whole message. They state that the staff are debating on whether or not they should delete the problematic accounts or if they should give them some time as a chance to de-pedofy themselves. Which, real talk, is an absolutely wild thing to be debating. Like, what do you mean you're considering giving all these downright predators a second chance to taint your reputation even more? It's real wild, and it's really clear, if this message is real, that they're simply doing all of this to escape accountability, and not because they care about the horrific community that they're making. And speaking of the horrible user base, how about I share a more in-depth example of just how bad the people in here can get? So remember when I said that we've reached the bottom of the barrel at this point in the previous section? Well, scrap that, because this is the real bottom of the barrel of the whole rabbit hole I got into. Now let me explain this user in detail. Electrifying Carrot, or Carrot for short, is yet another one of the ERP accounts on F-list, as you could probably guess. This one is actually one of the more popular ones, amassing around 300 to 500 followers on this small platform, which makes it just the more concerning. Now, what separates her from the rest of the more tame community is that Carrot is genuinely a disgusting and evil person in every single way possible. For starters, she has zoophilia as a tag in her favorite kinks, as well as and underage characters in her yes section. But not only that, the account is also seen openly associating and interacting with similar accounts that be saying some real wild stuff on here, with pretty much the same problematic tags. And if that wasn't enough to convince you how terrible this person was, according to Mr. Top Hat, she is also quite into children, even the young ones, as he says, if that wasn't already obvious from all the list details. She also allegedly spends every day on the website, and has a ton of NSFW addictions, which wouldn't be that much of a stretch to assume that some of these addictions include consumption of problematic material, like feral and lonely art. Now, if everything I just said wasn't bad enough already, she also allegedly slandered and spread rumors against Mr. Top Hat's friend, and even threatened Top Hat himself as well out of the blue. Based on Top Hat's messages, his friend reached out just to simply ask for wisdom and suggestions to be a better character, just to be blocked and slandered so hard to the point where it left them broken due to their bipolar issues. Carrot also apparently has a secret Twitter account for art only, which I can only imagine what type of art could come from there. She's also apparently been on this website for around 2 years, which is crazy just how long she managed to avoid accountability for all her actions.
It's over. I am the Master Glover. Hey Thanos, I glove you 3000. Time for your degloving.
Well, we've covered basically everything that this rabbit hole has to offer, or at least as much as I managed to learn. Because knowing this rabbit hole, I probably missed a lot of details on a lot of the topics here. However, I researched as best as I could with what I had to offer. Again, sorry for the sensitive topics and serious nature of the video, but I haven't seen anyone cover this issue anywhere, and I figured that it would be best for me to share all of the information that I knew about all of this. Big thank you for Mr. Top Hat and everyone else who helped me gather information on all these topics. For the sake of anonymity and preventing you all from accessing these profiles, almost all accounts in here were blurred, but please do not go and seek out these accounts for yourself if you find them, and especially do not interact with them. What I did was strictly for investigative investigative purposes only for the most part, especially when it comes to taboo accounts. But like I mentioned before, if you do happen to stumble onto any of these accounts, mainly the taboo ERP ones, then make sure to report them on Twitter. But that's honestly it for today. Thanks for watching again. I'll probably completely stop focusing on videos for the time being because I want to continue developing a Roblox game since I never find time for it. And as for my final messages for all these people, bro, stop gooning already, bro. None of this would be an issue if you weren't just big gooners, dog. Just go outside for once and get a you loser.
What is it? What does Santa give me for Santa Claus for? Ooh, Santa gave me a pillow that I can celebrate Christmas with. Like that, Santa. I like that. Yo, Chad, when I was like 12, I used to watch Christmas movies.